Hey friends, before we dive into this episode, I want to give you a heads up. Today's conversation includes references to sexual assault and sex trafficking, as shared by our guest. These are heavy topics, and while they're part of the story he tells, they may be difficult or upsetting to hear. So please take care of yourself. Skip this episode if you need to, or come back to it when you're in the right headspace. This is Every Day's a Train Wreck. And sometimes the wreckage is real. Okay, here we go. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Every Day's a Train Wreck. This is Marley Major. I'm going to keep the intro fast because we have the most amazing guest ever. I am the biggest super fan, Tiger King, Joe Exotic, Joseph Maldonado. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hanging in there. It's freezing.
You're hanging in there and it's freezing. Okay. So tell everybody who's not familiar where you are right now.
I'm at the Federal Medical Center in Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay. And is the medical center better than being like where you were before? Is it a little bit cushier?
Well, I've always been here. The only other place I've been was in Butner, North Carolina, at the hospital doing cancer treatments.
That's right. Okay. For some reason, I thought that you weren't always in the medical piece. How is the cancer going? I know from another podcast that you said you're hanging in, but are you doing any better today?
My prostate cancer is out of remission, and they are saying that I probably have cancer in my left lung, but we have not done a biopsy yet.
Oh my gosh. And how are your spirits with all of this? Because you just got married, right? And
well, I've been married for almost a year. Yeah, but anyway.
But your husband is not with you now.
No, he's in Mexico.
Yeah. And okay, so how often do you guys get to communicate?
So, I mean, I just got new minutes today for my phone, so I finally got to talk to him just an hour ago.
Oh, good.
Normally I call him once or twice a day until I run out of minutes.
Okay. And how do you get minutes from like your lawyer, or how do they parcel out the minutes?
You have to buy minutes, but you're only allowed to buy 300 a month, so they go pretty fast.
Oh, I get it. Okay. All right. So yeah, you got to use them wisely. Well, we're so grateful that you used them with us. Okay. One question I have for you is, what do you wish some reporter, some podcaster, somebody would ask you that they haven't asked you, or they haven't asked you recently, so that you can communicate some piece of your side, or maybe something you've read about yourself in the news lately and you want to clarify it?
Well, I mean, it's not as much as what I want to ask. I don't understand why the news media out there doesn't ask President Trump or Bondi or anybody else that has some power, why am I in prison when the people that testified against me got on world television in season 2 of Tiger King, that they made this all up, and then the hitman took them literally to the zoo and showed them where he had a murder weapon, where their plan was to kill me and put me in prison. Didn't work in order to get my zoo. That's what I want to know, is why won't the news media ask that question?
Okay, well, as I say, I'm your huge fan, and most importantly, my kids are never excited about anything, and this is the one call they were very excited about. So I know that they pardoned the Chrisleys, right? So would you like Trump to do that with you?
I mean, I would love a pardon, but hell, I would take just commuting my sentence to time served and let me go. I can become a millionaire for, being a felon. Hell, he's the president being a felon.
Yeah.
So that doesn't matter to me. If they want to, if this conviction means that damn much to them,
yeah,
give me time served on the fact that they admitted to perjury.
Okay, and how much time have you served to date?
8 years.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Okay, so who are the next interviews we should get the news media or somebody to go after? Who do you want that specifically to answer to your question?
I would just appreciate Fox News or CNN to ask that question. You know, why are we pardoning the Chrisleys and wiping off $34 million worth of debt that they stole?
Yes.
Why are we pardoning Ross Urich, you know, with 3 murder for hires and a life sentence? I wish CNN and Fox or somebody would just say, hey, President Trump or Ed Martin or Alice Marie Johnson, this guy sat in prison when your witnesses that testified against him admitted on world television that they made it up.
For those people who aren't totally familiar with the case, give the names of give the names of the witnesses who said that they lied.
Okay, Alan Glover was their so-called hitman.
Yep.
Admitted that he lied to the grand jury and to my trial jury.
Yes.
And he's the one that took him to the zoo and showed him the murder weapon he hid in the woods to him and Jeff Lowe.
Yes.
And planned on killing me with.
Yes.
Okay, Jeff Lowe and Lauren Lowe and James Garrison are all witnesses for the government that admitted to perjury since then. The other part that bothers me the worst, the federal agents covered up rape and sex trafficking and bank fraud, that we now have all of their phones and recordings, knowing that the government agents covered up all of that his witnesses were doing in order to put me in here.
Okay, the 3 people you've already mentioned.
Yes.
Okay. And, so keep going.
And those recordings are on my website for you to listen to.
Okay, so, yes, I'm going to do that. And give everybody so that they can check out your website. What's your website?
It's joeexoticofficial.com. Go to the evidence link. The recordings, there's 700 phone recordings, but the main ones where Jeff and Lauren admit to rape, and where Netflix's producer, there's videos there of him sums of cash to the government witnesses to keep the story going so he can make Tiger King.
Okay, and so you're not thrilled with the guy from Netflix then?
Absolutely not. No, not at all. Because I was in jail 2 years while they were filming that, and he paid the witnesses, and we have the evidence. He paid the witnesses to keep the lie going so he could make Netflix. And I didn't get a dime from Netflix. They got rich off of putting me in prison.
Yeah, no, I agree, which is one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on. Okay, one thing, ironically, is I'm going to be in New York next week, and I'm actually going to be at Fox taping some event clips and stuff like that. So I'll literally be in the Fox New York headquarters, and I'm going to pitch it. Okay, so
Fox Local just filed a thing with the prison to come in here and interview me, and I just approved that last week. So somebody needs to get a hold of Fox Local and say, hey, you know, when you finally get in there to interview Joe, you'll be the first in 8 years.
Okay, and Fox. Okay, so Fox Local. Which Fox Local is it? Which station?
I would assume it's the Fox out of Dallas.
Okay, I've got connections at that station. So, all right, so you've approved it. How does the process work? Any station just says, hey, listen, we want to interview, and you have to approve it?
You get on FMC Fort Worth website. And there's a press thing where you can file to get a permission to come in and talk to me, and then they bring me a piece of paper to approve it.
Okay. And you've approved it, and then what's supposed to happen?
Just waiting for them the prison to contact Fox back and say that it's been approved. You know, whether they will or whether they won't, that I will never know that.
Okay, we're going to do that for you. Okay, so Fox Local Dallas, you have approved them. So great. We have this on tape now. You've approved them to interview you. So we'll make sure the Fox News Local knows that and can push the prison. Okay. And do you have any idea of like how much time they're going to get or anything like that? Anything else that I need to communicate to them when we reach out to them?
I've never been allowed to do a face-on interview in years, so I don't know.
Okay.
It could be an hour. It could be 15 minutes. No.
Okay, got it.
I've been denied that right for 8 years.
Okay.
There's another inmate in here that is in here that got to do a video interview for CNN, but Joe hasn't.
Okay, who's that inmate? Can you say or not?
I have to go get his name, but he's on my floor.
Okay. I just was curious. All right. So, Okay, anything else you want us to communicate to the outside to kind of keep things moving for you and get you some publicity and maybe rattle some cages so you can get time served?
Big thing is, guys, is I went 55 years without ever even a speeding ticket.
Yeah.
And I fed the homeless every holiday.
Yeah.
I granted wishes for dying little kids.
Yeah.
I'm a good person. All I want to do is go home and live what little life I have left with cancer with my husband and get back to my charity work. You know, a lot of people ask me all the time, do you miss your animals? Yeah, I miss my animals. But you know what I miss? You know what I miss the most is helping sick people.
I guess one of my questions to you is, why do you think, like you have, I mean, I've looked at your legal team. You have looks like a pretty terrific legal team. I'm sure those are questions that your legal team has tried to pose. What are the responses that they get?
I mean, we don't get any responses. We've sent emails upon emails to Fox, CNN, to Newsmax, to OAN, to Telemundo, to everybody. And nobody, I mean, just to give you an example, nobody's interested in the truth. They're just interested in the drama and the lies. It's no different than Lawrence Jones with Talks and Friends in the morning.
Yes.
Okay. He did a little segment about me, but all he talked about was animal cruelty, that I'm in prison for animal cruelty. I was mean to my animal. I'm not in prison for animal cruelty.
Right.
And I have never been charged or accused of animal cruelty by any law enforcement agency. I have 5 charges for taking an endangered species without a permit because now they're claiming that I needed a permit to euthanize the animals, that I had USDA paperwork to put them down. And I'll make sure you get copies of that here also.
I would love that. Now, so your lawyers reach out, or I'm sure your lawyers reached out to Lawrence Jones after he reported on that. And does it just go radio silent?
Yes. You don't hear nothing back.
The other thing you mentioned to me, which I was really surprised about, and I've heard this kind of stuff before, but I was shocked because people think you made $1 gazillion from being on Netflix.
They had me arrested and put in solitary confinement and held without bond September the 7th of 2018. And everything was filmed between 18 and 19 and early part of 20. And it aired March the 19th of 2020, I believe. The only footage you saw me in Tiger King was footage that I had filmed for JoeExoticTV.com. And I have 6 terabytes of never seen footage. And Eric Good with Royal Good Productions took and got my husband at the time to sign a contract to sell him the footage off of my computers and the footage off of my YouTube channel in order to make Tiger King.
That's how they were able to use the license it or whatever it was to put it on Netflix.
Absolutely. Dylan took $2.6 million and left. I left him in prison.
So that everybody's up to speed. Dylan, tell everybody who Dylan is, so we've got the character straight.
Okay, Dylan Passage was my husband at the time when I got arrested.
Yes. Okay. And he took the 2.6 million.
Yes.
And where is Dylan today?
Who knows? It took me 3 years to track him down and divorce him.
Oh, for the love of God. Yeah, well, I don't, he wouldn't want to get divorced from you. Who would? I mean, I get it. Okay. And so when you tracked him down, I'm assuming he just, you were able to get divorced, but you probably weren't able to get any more information out of him as far as where the money went or any of that.
They subpoenaed his taxes. I subpoenaed his bank accounts, and him and his new boyfriend spent, whatever they spent, and they hid whatever they could hide because we couldn't prove he had anything other than the very first year he claimed $2.6 million worth of assets. And keep in mind, he was homeless and covered in syphilis and addicted to cocaine when I met him. So he had nothing when I met him. By the time I tracked him down, the first year he had $2.6 million worth of assets.
Yeah, absolutely mind-boggling.
And even sold my clothes to a museum in Las Vegas.
He did. For God's sakes. What? Okay, now what happened when you were arrested? Netflix and the house and all that where the tigers were. I just keep going back in my head because I've watched the show. Obviously, I love the show. I've watched every aspect of it, but now my brain is just so stuck on the fact that that's right. Netflix wasn't filming you because you were incarcerated at that point. So they were filming all the other people talking about you and the tigers and all that stuff in the background. What happened to all that? Were you like, how long did it take for them to confiscate all of that and get rid of the tigers and everything?
Now, keep in mind, the federal government didn't confiscate anything. Okay. This was a coordinated effort between my brother, my niece, and Carol and Howard Baskin, and Jeff and James and Lauren and Alan. Okay. And as much as I've lost, and I've lost it all, my parents are the ones who suffered in this. They were married over 69 years.
Yeah.
I took care of them every day of their life. And if they got me arrested, they took my power of attorney away from me, and they slapped my mom and dad in nursing homes so they couldn't talk. So they took the land that the zoo was on, and they took her mom's house and her land and all of her stuff in Kansas. My mom was wealthy. Okay. She had a lot of land in Kansas, farmland. And my niece and everybody took it all and let my mom and dad die separately in separate nursing homes alone.
Wow. And then the brother and the niece got proceeds.
My brother and my niece made a deal with Carol Baskin because, Carol likes to sue everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And she was in the middle of a lawsuit with me and my mom. So they made Carol a deal that if they signed the zoo over to Carol, Carol would forget the lawsuit. And then my brother and my niece got everything my mom and dad owned.
Right. Okay. And then obviously she didn't drop the lawsuit.
She dropped the lawsuit on my mom, not me.
Well, yeah. But that's okay. So, I hate to say it, but it probably would have been better if the lawsuit on your mom stayed, because the lawsuit on you and Carol keeping all the heat and everything on you is why you're where you are today, right?
Exactly. Okay. So then after Jeff and James and Lauren and everybody helped them put me away,
right.
They thought they were going to be able to keep the zoo and stay there.
Right.
Okay. And then things went south with Carol. So Jeff conned this little old school teacher named Cheryl Scott because she came as a customer and she found out that she had a $250,000 savings account from her retirement. Well, he conned her into buying that land down at Thackerville, the Oklahoma-Texas border, and opening up that Tiger King Zoo. Okay. Well, Jeff removed as much as he could from my place and moved it down there before Carol kicked him off the property. Okay. And then the feds ended up raiding his place and he got evicted from that place, and it made them all missing. So that's when they turned over their cell phones and their computers to my lawyer, John Phillips.
Right.
That's where we got all of these phone recordings and evidence that the feds knew not only that they were lying, they helped them create the evidence to lie. And the feds knew everything about them raping people at the zoo, the sex trafficking in Las Vegas, and all the fake IDs and the bank fraud. The federal wildlife agent, Matthew Bryant, covered everything up for them so they could testify against me in court.
And so, wow.
That, to me, that's the sad part about all of this is the phone recordings are out there. You'd listen to the allegation where Jeff and Lauren accuse each other of rape.
Yep.
And everything else. It's all there. So why will the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, or no one else open up an investigation that these people are still out there doing the same stuff? I can promise you. That's why Jeff is hiding in Mexico. James is down in Florida, and Alan is God knows where. We don't even know if he's still alive. Why are they covering up rape and sex trafficking and bank fraud in order to keep me in prison so you can't pet a baby tiger? That's pretty sad.
Yeah, it is pretty sad. And how much of this, it's interesting because this whole thing just took on a life of its own. I mean, it was fabulous TV because it had a great cast of characters, right? I mean, it's on every level, but it's a tragedy, especially when you're talking about what happened with your, I mean, it's a tragedy all around, but it's especially when you're talking about what happened with your parents. And that, I had no idea about that. That just breaks my heart. And why do you think they still kept coming after you? Do you think it was the Carol Baskin component because she was so vocal about things? Was it?
Keep in mind, okay, the other part of the story. Okay, see, and I never got to tell any of this at my trial, because before my trial, my public defenders, which only came and seen me 3 times in the 2 years I was held with no bond.
To prepare for the trial? You only got to see him 3
Yes.
times?
Yes.
Holy.
And I was in solitaire, so I couldn't help find evidence. I couldn't get to my emails. I couldn't get to nothing to help prove my case. Okay, but before my trial, the day of my trial, that morning, they told me I cannot discuss Don Lewis missing. I cannot discuss any of the rape allegations, any of the credit card fraud, any of the fake IDs. I couldn't discuss nothing. So they made a deal with the federal public defenders, the prosecutors, and the judge. All had this agreement before my trial ever started. So the jury never got to hear anything, okay, except the videos that were scripted of me on Joe Exotic TV,
right,
shooting blow up sex dolls and stuff, because that's what made money.
Right. So what do you, going back, what do you wish would have come out at trial? Because the good news is we'll put this on YouTube. There'll be transcripts and it might just keep helping the cause. So what were the key pieces that should have come out?
What I wish would have came out was the whole story, okay? It wasn't a fight about me and Carol, that big of an argument. The argument was because Joe was investigating her killing her husband. Okay, that's what started the fight, because I got too close to proving that she killed Don Lewis. Okay, so she just kept coming after me. She sued me for years. Couldn't put me out of business suing me because I'd haul scrap iron to keep paying the lawyer bills. Right. Okay, so then she had to work with Jeff and James in order to concoct this murder for hire thing. Right. And now, if you look on that website, joeexoticofficial.com, there's actually 2 videos there that Carol made a mistake and uploaded to her own YouTube channel that we captured, where the hitman and one of her volunteers was discussing on the telephone how he made this all up. And she posted it herself. But to go with the whole story, okay, from 2015, when I met Jeff, okay, me and Travis flew to Colorado and looked at a sanctuary for him to tell him what I thought of the sanctuary. Right. Okay. And he pretended to be this real rich dude, okay, that wanted to invest in a sanctuary. Right. Went out there, he had this big old mansion, had an indoor swimming pool, a Ferrari in the driveway, a Hummer in the driveway, throwing around cash, okay? Lo and behold, long story short, he goes, well, do you want to sell your place? And I said, no. I said, but I wouldn't mind an investor. I was to invest $300,000, okay, in order to get his name on the land with my mom as collateral. Okay. The minute my mom and dad did a quick claim deed, we get a phone call in the middle of October of 2015. And Jeff is in jail in Colorado. And Lauren is on the phone wanting to know if she can borrow $10,000 to get him out of jail because he strangled his wife. And I'm like, well, first of all, who are you, Lauren? And second of all, why would I have $10,000 when Jeff was supposed to be investing $300,000?
Exactly.
Okay, well, come to find out, the house was rented. He was behind on all the car payments. The man was broke.
It's like the original catfishing stories, right? Where, it's like one of the OG situations where it looks like this, and then it's all baloney.
His name was already on the property, okay? So after he gets out of jail, him and Lauren and all of his cats, he had 13 big cats, come and live at my zoo, and him and Lauren live in my house with me and Travis, okay? And then I find out who the real Jeff and Lauren are. They sit in the office all day, every day, looking on Facebook and Instagram for young girls, okay? And they would lure them to the zoo using baby tigers. And I'm telling you, they would fly these girls in from all over the United States. And they,
Were they American girls they were flying in, or who were they flying in?
your teenage daughter, okay?
Yeah.
And
I've got one, 17. Yeah.
you need to worry about it, okay? Because
I do.
they would fly them. They would fly them to the zoo, get them to play with the baby tigers. They'd stay a couple days, and they'd drug them with ketamine and cocaine and rape them at night and videotape them to blackmail.
They were just telling these girls, "Hey, listen, you've got this." Like, why did these girls think that they were being invited?
Because everybody likes baby tigers.
For God's
Who
sake.
wouldn't want to come to the zoo and spend a couple of days playing with the animals that you never get to see?
Well, that part I understand, but how did they pick who the girls were? I mean, were they just sending out?
It didn't matter. It didn't matter if they were black, white. One of them that to this day, Ashley Webster would tell you that she was raped. She had a service dog. They're not picky. They're not picky at all. Okay, so
Wow.
as time went by in 2016 and 2017, James came in the picture, okay? And him and Jeff hit it off right off the bat because they're both criminal. And
Right.
James was the perfect guy for the fake IDs and the stolen credit cards and everything else because he had a fake finance company. And he would just pull up somebody's credit card. He'd make it look like they were making $900 car payments, get their credit score up. And then him and Jeff would go online to Bowflex, Care Credit, and Wayfair and spend $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 at a time and have it all shipped to Ardmore, Oklahoma to James's warehouse where he had a liquidation store. Oh, yeah. And Mac, in those text messages on that website, the federal agents are asking him, well, you got a new load of stuff coming in today so I can come shop? They knew everything.
Okay.
Okay, so all of this was going on. Okay, and then October the 6th of 2017, Travis dies. Okay, at the zoo. My husband. Okay, he gets accidentally shot himself in the gift shop.
Yeah.
All right. So after that happened, I was done. I was ready to close the zoo or get off of it. Okay, well, I had tigers and apes and everything else that I couldn't leave there because I knew he couldn't run a zoo.
Yeah.
I didn't want him starving to death.
Right.
And Saf had already lost an arm. And these people, Jeff had all of the employees constantly drunk and doing meth and partying because that's how he won them over from me because I was an asshole to work for. Because you didn't drink on my property. You didn't come to work hungover. Nothing, because Seth lost an arm. You die there. If you're not paying attention, you die there. All right. Yeah. So I started moving animals off the zoo and placing them in other sanctuaries and zoos.
This is 2017, just to give some perspective, right?
2017, yes.
Okay. Got it. Keep going.
Okay. And Alan, Jeff's right-hand man, see, at this time, Jeff and James was already out in Las Vegas, sex trafficking over 75 Asian girls.
Oh, my Lord. Jeff and James were.
Yeah. And it all started because Jeff and Lauren sat in the office one day and they found this girl in Las Vegas to fly to Oklahoma City. Okay, well, she flies to Oklahoma City and she turns out to be this old Asian woman doing the same thing they were doing. Okay?
Oh, karma's a witch.
Her first name is Mimi. Okay, so now they're stuck with her at the zoo for 3 days. And they get her over to their cabin. And I don't know if they drugged her or if they just went through her luggage. But anyway, they found this book of hers that had over 75 pictures of young Asian girls with the measurements of their boobs, their weight, shoes, everything. Okay?
I was going to say, was she a madam? She sounds like she was a madam if she had all this.
Yeah. Jeff and Lauren are like, they hit a gold mine. Okay?
Well, yeah.
So the next morning, she came out to the office and she's standing on the porch with me and Lauren and Jeff. And Joe Rinke, okay, the zoo manager. And Jeff looks at her and he has her book. And he goes, you either going to cut me in or I'm going to turn you in. And they made a deal. And within 2 days, they all flew to Las Vegas and they were running that whole business out there. And on that evidence link, there's screenshots, pictures of leases where they leased houses under fake names and driver's licenses. And that's where they were running these girls at them.
Okay, and then how long did that last?
Up in time I got arrested.
And then that's when it stopped.
That's when I couldn't prove anything anymore because they put me in jail to shut me up. Okay, so
Wow.
through all of this in 2017 and early 2018,
Yeah.
I kept moving animals off the zoo.
Right.
Alan was always at the zoo, and he would call Jeff and say, "Hey, Joe's doing this, and then
Right.
Jeff would call and bitch me out. Well, why are you moving these animals? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that?" So the tension got really high, and Jeff called me one day in November, close to Thanksgiving, and he says, Alan wants to go back to South Carolina. Okay, and if you can give him $3,000 because his Social Security check hasn't arrived, he can get on a bus and go back to South Carolina and get out of your hair. And since y'all don't get along, okay,
Right.
so I did. Well, Jeff concocted this story that I gave him $3,000 to go kill Carol because they already had this plan in motion. Okay.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Like $3,000 would do it. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't even go on a vacation to Florida for $3,000.
yeah, it's gonna say, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So that played out and didn't get him anywhere. So James kept calling every day. Hey, I got a guy that I want you to meet that can take care of Carol. I got this dude I want you to meet. Well, and all the text messages that are on that website will prove to you. I hid from him. I ignored him. And every time he came to the zoo, I was never there. And one day him and this really rough looking dude just shows up. And they corner me in my office and they stand in front of the door so I can't get out the door. Okay. And
Yeah.
he goes, well, this is my guy that can take care of Carol. And I'm like, I knew something was up. And I knew, Jeff, and by listening to all of those recordings, you know now that they all record each other. Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's the best part. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I knew he was recording me. And I knew if I didn't go along to a certain point that
Right.
he would let Jeff listen to this. And then pressure would really get on me before I could get off the zoo.
Right.
So they sit there and they're like, well, we need you to go get a gun at a pawn shop or at a flea market where there's no trace of it. And I'm like, I can't do that. And I didn't agree to do that. And then they wanted me to go to Walmart and get burner phones. And I didn't agree to that. And I'm like, I just gave Alan $3,000 to go take care of Jeff's problem
Right.
down there in Florida, and he just run off with the money. Okay, that was my story that I gave, and then I just out of curiosity to get him out of my office, I was like, okay, so how much would this even cost? And the FBI guy goes $10,000, and I showed him the computer, and I said, man, the checkbook's $13,000 in the hole. I said, I ain't got $10,000. I said, I got to wait till our baby's born because that was my excuse to get him out of the office.
Right.
And he goes,
Right.
we'll do it for $5,000. And I said, man, I just showed you I ain't even got $5,000.
Right.
He goes, and this is on the recording. He goes, well, do you have Carol's address? And I said, I've been investigating Carol for 11 years. I said, I have all of these papers here to prove that she killed her husband. And look, every one of them had her address on there. And I said, no, you got to ask Jeff for that because I don't know it. I would give him her address.
Right. You weren't helping. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, you weren't.
But at my trial, the FBI agent testified that I offered him $10,000. He's the one that said $10,000, and I never offered him a damn dime.
Right.
As soon as I told him Jeff would have to get an address, they finally left. Okay.
Yeah.
Never heard from him again.
Yeah, because they went after Jeff.
So then the tensions with Jeff really started getting bad. He called threats. I've got all of that's on the website.
Yeah.
And everything else. So I got so desperate that I called PETA. Okay.
Wow.
I even asked PETA for help moving my animals so I could leave.
Yeah. And what happened with that?
PETA helped me move over 80 tigers and lions. They helped me move all of my bears, all of my primates, anything that was really dangerous.
Yeah.
I got off that park. Okay. That was in the name. So June the 16th of 2018, me and Dylan left the zoo. And so did John Rinke and Dr. Green. We all left, never looked back.
Yeah.
I go to Gulf Breeze, Florida. I rent a house in my name. I get a post office box in my name. I get a job washing dishes on the beach at Pegling Pete's in my name. I wasn't stealing from nobody. I wasn't running from nobody. I was done. I handed them that zoo, everything. I walked away from it. Yeah. And they still came after me. Why? Because A, they couldn't run a zoo. Okay. Me dumping it in their lap was more of a problem than me staying there. And B, Jeff and James knew that I knew and I could prove all of this sex trafficking and rape and everything else.
And the thing is, these days, the sex trafficking stuff is such a big topic. I mean, it wasn't as big. I mean, it's always been a big topic, but I should say it wasn't like in the mainstream media like it constantly is now.
The producers of Tiger King, Eric Good and Rebecca Challen, they knew that there was sex trafficking going on. They ignored everything for the agenda to help Carol pass the Big Cat Safety Act. Even though they made Carol look bad, keep in mind, Tiger King was made for the Humane Society of the United States and PETA to pass the Big Cat Safety Act.
Oh, was it? Was that the agenda?
That was the agenda because I testified in front of the House and the Senate everywhere in order to keep it from passing. The only thing it done was made the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries and the AZA a monopoly on tigers. Carol's organization, the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries, is the only organization exempt from the Big Cat Safety Act.
Yeah.
So where are my tigers now? They're at all Global Federation Animal Sanctuary places being charged $50 a person to come see Joe Exotic's tigers.
Yeah. Isn't that convenient? And
that's the true story, okay? And that's why I don't understand with the evidence that we have, the phone recordings from their very phones, and we still have their phones to prove that they came off their phone. Why does no news media pick up the fact that the rape, sex trafficking, bank fraud, all this was covered up and Joe's still in jail?
Well, one thing, Joe, when we talked earlier, you mentioned the piece of like why, CNN or Fox, or why isn't anybody picking up on it? And I mentioned that I'm going to be in New York next week in Fox. And since we've talked, I did as I promised, and I reached out to my publicist immediately. And ironically, she's from Tulsa. So she's like, obviously knows the whole story. And so what we're trying to do right now is you mentioned that you signed something saying that you would give the interview to the local news station for Fox in Texas. So just so you know, we are trying to track that down so that they know that you've signed off. And then selfishly, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to say, why can't you sign off on me filming you as the first interview in 8 years? So you might see some paperwork come across your desk about that. But we are trying to get the word out, just so you know.
Because you know why?
Why?
They won't let me do an interview? Okay, because the entire world saw crazy Joe Exotic on Tiger. Right. Okay.
And now you're sympathetic.
I was sympathetic then, too. Okay, keep in mind that was all scripted bullshit to make Joe Exotic TV. They don't want the real Joe putting a face to the real story on national television.
We'll see what we can do. My boy Derek, that you've been talking to, obviously, who's been helping me set this up, he's knee deep in trying to get a hold of those producers who sent that request that you signed off on. So we're not gonna give up on it. And okay, so how about this? I think we're at a good stopping point, Joan. What I'd like to do is I would love to invite you to be back on, and maybe we can bookend this piece and then pick up and tape another podcast and kind of go to the next level. Because I think really a huge part of this story too is all this trafficking stuff that as you say, I'd have to go watch all of it again, but that was just not forefront of my mind when I was watching it the first time, that was what was going on. But it makes sense if the goal was to pass that Big Cat Animal Act.
If you read my transcripts of my trial,
several
hours of Carol's testimony was about the Big Cat Safety Act.
Yeah. Okay, well, Joe, I cannot thank you enough for being on this podcast. And will you take me up on the offer to be on again? And let's continue the story, and let's get some more transcripts out. And in the meantime, anybody who wants to get some more information can go to Joe Exotic Official and click on what was the part that you click on again? All of the evidence. Okay.
It's all there. Pictures of the fake IDs, everything.
Oh, I could not believe it. I was like, you know what we need to do is we got to get that website of yours search engine optimized now that we've got artificial intelligence in the picture, and really supersize that website with some of that stuff going on in the background, because I mean, Lord have mercy, that I have never seen so much data on one section. I had no idea all that was on the website. So
see if you can get Fox to do a story, a real story.
We're trying. We're trying to rattle some cages. We're trying to rattle some cages. So I just want you to know I'll keep trying. And will you take me up on the offer to come back onto the show?
Just let me know.
All right. Thank you, Joe. All right. So this is Marley. Every day is a train wreck signing off, and free Joe Exotic. Thank you, Joe. We'll continue next one. Bye.
Bye.